All right, big question. How do you determine your price? How do you decide what you're going to charge people when you sell not a product, you sell ideas? That's the topic today and in the next episode. We're going to talk about the difference between value and price, and we're going to discuss that whole thing of where do you set the price. Now, today, I want to talk to you about this really important element of pricing your ideas, pricing your content, pricing your communication strategy. Here's the thing. You've got to show people the value of what you offer in order to set the price, or apart from supplying the value, they will insert a value of their own. The value might be based on past experience. The value might be based on the amount of money or lack of money they have in their bank account. The value might be based on just kind of first number that pops in their head. You certainly want to set the value, but you don't want to make up the value, and you don't want to pull the value out of thin air and just make something up. So how do you do that? And how do you do that in light of the fact that most of us tend to undervalue our experience? And most of us tend to undervalue our expertise. And most of us tend to undervalue our time. We don't adequately value it. And then how do we present that? That's what we're all going to roll into in this episode and in the next. Think of this as a 1-2 punch. All right, so today we're going to talk about the theory of all of it. And it will be a little bit practical. In the next episode, we'll talk about how do you communicate it. Okay? I'm Andy Jenkins with Amplify. Thanks for joining me here on the podcast. I'll invite you to take a look right now down in the show notes. If you're listening to this on our website, if you're listening on Apple or YouTube, you're listening on Spotify, anywhere else, or you've just kind of cut, paste, clone the RSS feed into your favorite podcast provider, whatever the case you've done, down in the show notes, there are some next best steps for you, as well as a link to where, if it's helpful for you, you can jump on and schedule a free non-sales call with us. And I literally mean that. Like, let's just kick back some ideas. And sometimes we're able to teach you. Sometimes we learn some things even from your questions. It's always, I guarantee it, a win-win. All right, value and price. What's the difference? How do you determine where to set the cost of your own stuff? Here it is. We want to help you get paid for what you know. One of the biggest questions that I had in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, I still have it even now, is how do you set the price for a course or a product on your website, a coaching opportunity, whatever it is? How do you set that up, realizing that you've got to lead with value, not price, that people purchase stuff based on the value that they perceive to be there. So let's just get into it, and I'll explain this as we go. The outline for this module is this. There are a few things that you need to know about price. So we're going to talk about what those are, and then we're going to dialogue about how to set the value of something, not the price. And then we're going to talk about some of the where, the what, the why, the how to show the value, so that ultimately the goal is for the person that visits your website to make a purchase. So let's get into the first part of this training, what we need to know about price. Okay, so the issue of pricing an offer is often confusing for, I'd originally said many people. It's actually confusing for most of us. Let's just be straight. Now, it's easy when it comes to a book or a shirt or a hat, something of that nature that already has a culturally anchored price. The question comes, what about something that does not have a generally accepted price? A membership group, or a coaching program, or a seminar, a workshop, a specific event, or your latest new course that's going to teach people how to achieve something. How do you set the price for that? Well, let me tell you three things your price cannot be based on, and then I'll tell you three that it needs to be. So three things it cannot be. Number one is your price cannot be inflated so that you can mark it down. It cannot be artificially high. Now, it gets on my nerves when I go to a department store and I see, oh, they mark this up at TJ Maxx so they can mark it down. I mean, they don't even have a sales sticker. It just says some kind of artificially made up price and then something on the other side of it. And you're like, what in the world? Like, what is going on here? It can't be inflated artificially to knock that thing down. I see courses online all the time. Somebody says value of $2,997, yours for only $97. I'm like, why in the world would they sell something for, I mean, what is that? I can't do the math that quick. 3 to 5% of the actual retail, quote, retail, unquote price. It can't be that. If you're going to build trust long-term, it cannot be inflated to drop. It's got to be real. It can't be, quote, I see this all the time, invaluable or priceless. No number shown. It needs to have an actual number. It needs to have an actual valuation there if you're going to ask for money. If it's priceless, then why put a price on it at all? Just give it, right? I mean, that makes sense. Here's another thing it can't be. It can't be, and I see this on sales pages all the time, incredible price, or you can't believe it. It's got to be believable. It can't be artificially made up, high to drop low. It can't be, quote, priceless. It can't be incredible. It needs to be legit. Now, let me tell you three things that price needs to be. Price needs to be based on the actual value they receive. Price needs to be relative to the value of the problem you solve and or the potential that you take them to. Price needs to be clearly presented. You need to show it, not back down from it, not apologize it. It just needs to be clear so that you tell what you agree to do it for or exchange it for, and they can make an intelligent decision of whether or not they want it at that. Now, in this, let me put a little, it's not really a disclaimer, it's just kind of an observation here. You can generally charge more for products and programs that are for a business, not an individual, and products and programs that generate a financial return. If it is for a business, they can write it off on their taxes. It can be a business expense. If it's for a business, often it does earn money back. If it's for an individual, it's a hobby. It's teaching somebody how to play guitar. It's teaching somebody how to lose weight. It's teaching somebody how to heal a marriage. It's teaching someone how to maybe even climb out of debt. Well, that generates a financial return. It's just different if it's for an individual than a business, because if a business generates a return, it's seen as an investment if it generates a return. It can be written off if it generates a return. Now, that doesn't mean that other products and programs aren't more important. It just means people don't attribute as much value to them. Let me give you an example. LifeLift is a course and a book, whole set of resources I have on my personal webpage, jenkins.tv, that helps people find and fulfill their purpose. Amplify is a course and a book on this webpage that helps people share their message, raise their revenue, platform, multiply, monetize their message, all of that. Now, arguably, in my mind, LifeLift, helping people walk into grace, discover their true identity, discern the reason God has them on this planet and the difference that they make, that in my mind is a more important resource than helping someone write a book. And I get it. Writing a book is going to make an impact. Books convey and share ideas, but LifeLift has a broader audience, and I can't charge as much for it because even though churches and sometimes organizations use it for their people, Amplify generates a financial return. it becomes a business expense almost 100% of the time. People can write it off. They can generate money, earn an income based on what they learn. So there is a difference. Again, it doesn't mean that something for individuals is less valuable or less worthy. It just means generally the price is going to be attributable based on that factor right there. Okay. You can charge more, in my opinion, for products and programs that are for business and generate a financial return. Now, that said, let me tell you another problem that we jump into when it comes to setting price or figuring out the price is you and I tend to undervalue our own stuff because with where we are now on the learning curve, everything seems to just come naturally, especially in the area of our expertise. So what happens is we suffer from the curse of knowledge and we forget what we now know that we didn't always know and how valuable that information base is, especially when we can communicate it clearly and how we struggled to learn it and how much it would have helped us back in the beginning. We forget it, and so we undervalue it. Let me show you what I mean about underestimating that gap between what we know now and what other people know that is what we once knew. There's a low limit. Look at the screen. Here's what others know on a subject. It's, I mean, they may know a little bit more than this. They may know a little bit less, but for the sake of illustration, let's say everybody knows that much on whatever it is, weight loss, parenting, on fire marriage, writing a book, finding and fulfilling your purpose, any other skill that you're going to teach, Photoshop, how to, whatever, taking photography, that's how much the average person knows. And you may have always known a little bit more than that, but you certainly don't know what you know now. So there's this massive gap between what you know and what others know. And that gap often is the value that you can deliver. Now look at that game of what you're going to be able to bring them up from what they know all the way up to your area of expertise, what you can share with them. We tend to undervalue that gap. I'll give you a real life example. This on the screen is one of my friends, Teresa Erlinson. She is in the film Trauma Comes Home that our nonprofit Crosswinds Foundation put together about warrior families and how PTSD, moral injury, and other deployment-related traumas affect not just the warrior, the veteran, but everybody in the family. Now, this is a podcast picture that she and I recorded. I was talking with her, and it just reminded me that about a week before that, in this picture, we're talking about her now being a licensed counselor. LPC, I think, is the wording. A week before that, we had a meeting with probably 6, 7 people on Zoom that were all talking about our resources at Crosswinds that empower veterans to overcome PTSD and moral injury, guilt, shame, survivor's guilt, all the traumas, identify their next mission. And that's a resource that I put together with my friend, Bob Waldrop. We co-authored, co-created those resources. And the group, we're talking about some training opportunities on that material. And Teresa right here, who's probably 29, 30, 31, something like that, the youngest one in the room, who has just earned her degree, gotten her certification, and says something like, well, I'm the least qualified in here. Like, in fact, I'm not really that qualified to, input about this. I'm just a little, beginning toddler therapist. Now, she did not mean she provides therapy for toddlers. She meant I'm a young, new professional. So as we dialogue, I reminded her, your family is a military family that has 15, 16, 17 total deployments among your dad, your brothers, your husband who has a Purple Heart. You're probably, and you have the professional training, you got the practical background for decades
and you have the professional training, you're probably the most qualified one in the room, oddly enough. You are suffering from, I told her, the curse of knowledge. You underestimate the gap between what you know on the subject and what others know because you have been at it so long that it is so natural for you to be able to talk in these circles. You're way more qualified than you think. Now, look, the gap, the value that she could deliver based on what she knows, practically and professionally, as compared to what others know. And what she walked through right there, it's what we all do. We undervalue our own stuff, our own knowledge base, because we underestimate that knowledge gap. So when it comes time to sell it, we underprice it. And so what I'm saying is you don't need to do that. You need to figure out how to set the value of your offer so you can come up with an accurate, adequate, fair, real, true price. Here's part two. How do you set the value of the offer? Let's dialogue through that. Now, before we get into the 4 ways I'm going to give you to set the value, I want to highlight to you that without a clear communication strategy here, the offer often falls flat. Not always, just often falls flat, even when the product or program that you have to sell is phenomenal. I don't know about you, it's probably occurred for you too, gone online, shared, released a new course, a new book, a new coaching opportunity. And I thought, man, people will eat this up. It's great content. And really it was. I studied, I learned a lot about it. Phenomenal resourcing. Oh, great stuff, great interviews, all that. Great, absolutely phenomenal, next level. But no clear communication path that shows people why they need it, the value of it, and so crickets. You send out the email to thousands of people, and like 2 people buy it, the book. Or you like the coaching opportunity, and it's like a few people get it, but that's it's like at some point you go, oh. And that's one of the things that caused me to step back and go, I've got to learn this. I got to dial this in. How do you figure out how am I going to set the price on something? Oh, I got to figure it out. So here are 4 ways you can set the value. And let me say, this is not a science, it's art and science. And so what I'll do is I'd kind of put the offer in the center of a page here and just kind of look at it from all these different angles. And that's going to help you kind of refine and look and say, okay, here's what it is. All right, 4 ways to look at it. Number 1, time saved. Your opportunity, coaching, product, program, course, book, whatever, accelerates the learning curve or increases their productivity or a combination of both. The reality is time is money. I learned the processes and systems that I use now on my website, on client websites, and other places that we do some work for people. I learned it. It took me about a decade of literally doing content creation almost full time in various capacities. And the truth is, I consider myself a really fast learner, and I was still working at it that long. So think about the question. What would it cost you to actually take 10 years of your life, pay all of your bills, and support your family so that you can learn the systems that I learned? Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like that's one way to start setting the value. Here's another example. Now, this is a repair guy, obviously working on a washing machine. I remember when I was growing up, I was a kid. One of the coworkers of my dad was the guy that was on staff at the church where he was the pastor. This guy says, oh man, my washing machine has not been working for weeks. This Saturday, I blocked the whole day. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to fix it. And so he does. He wakes up Saturday. He has his breakfast. He gets dressed. He gets the tools. He gets going. And then all of a sudden, he just, fumbles around, gets frustrated, can't fix it. And then eventually, towards the end of the day, finally calls the repairman. The repairman comes out, fiddles with it for a few minutes, has it up and running, and then hands him a bill for $100. I mean, he gladly paid it, but he's thinking like, all right, you got to tell me, what did you do that was worth $100? And the guy actually said, again, he wasn't complaining about paying the $100. He's just glad to have this thing running. $100 to know to check the fuse first. Okay, again, this is a couple decades ago. $100. Now, was it worth it? Well, I mean, think about this guy did in 5 minutes what somebody else could not do all day. Was it worth it? Yeah, probably. Think about it this way too, not just time. Think in terms of money saved. What you share with them, the person that's buying your product or program, it translates into actual dollars they've spent without a return, or what about money they would spend that they don't have to spend because now they have you? Real life example. My friend Randy spent $20,000 on courses, and then he sat through the filming of Amplify. We recorded the big mega course in front of a live audience, and he actually got it, seeing how everything fits together for the first time. He told me there in front of the whole group, he's like, I finally get it. Like, I have been sitting trying to figure this out, bought course after course after course, and nobody has put it together, and now I get it. 20 grand. And now he sees it. Another friend, Andrew, same name as me, different guy. He invested $8,000 on a well-known self-publishing school for about the same amount. We overhauled all of his processes, updated his webpage, sold the book that never sold before, making back all the money he spent at that self-publishing school, all the money he spent on us, and created an ongoing profit stream that makes money each month and generates new leads into his courses and coaching and events each month. You could think about it in those terms, or you might think, what would it cost you to hire someone to do part or full-time? What I can show you how to do in just a few minutes a day, by the time-saving hacks and the systems that you're going to implement. Or what would it cost you to hire somebody when you could just outsource this to me and I could do it actually for less than what you pay somebody to be in the office doing? You see? Or you could say, what does it cost you to add these tasks, this stuff, to an existing employee's job description? Someone who is already overloaded and having a hard time keeping up as it is. You see, these are all ways to kind of start coming in and going, all right, what's the value proposition here? What do they gain, not just in terms of time saved, of accelerating the learning curve, but also money they're going to save that otherwise they're going to have to spend and not get as good of a result as what they learn in your course, your product, your program, or even by hiring you contractually to do some of the work for them. You could also look at it this way. What about money earned by implementing what you show them? What will they make back, both in the short and in the long term? And I get there's some overlap between what I'm talking about here, and that's really why it looks more like an art to me than a science, because you're kind of coming in at the same goal from multiple angles to set that ultimate value. My goal, really, when we have contract clients here, is to earn within just a few months, to earn back what they pay us and more. One of our first goals is to set an offer on their page where people can buy a book, or they can buy a course, or they can buy something that's really easy to create, even something they already have, or something that we've acquired or put together from repurposed content that we found in their ecosystem. Put that up there so they can begin earning back what they're investing in us. So it really is an investment. And within 1 year, I want them to be able to 5x that, so that it was truly a win-win all around. Let me give you an example of how that works as you start putting some of these pieces together. The Freedom site, that's the name that we gave a project. They already had courses and content sitting in a vault on a hard drive and in Dropbox. We created a website, placed everything online, and that content finally began generating revenue. I still remember the conversation that I had with the pastor that had shot all this. He told me one day, I was ghostwriting a book for him, put it together. We had it. And then I said, hey, go shoot a course on this. Just look at the camera and explain each of these 4 chapters, and let's market that as a course. He got it, did it. I mean, crushed it. Absolutely phenomenal. And then he came back and he said, hey, man, this led me to remember. Now get that. He forgot about it. This led me to remember that I've got some other courses that I shot. I've got 4 of them. They fit together. They're 4 modules each. It's kind of like class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. And they're just kind of sitting like, maybe we could do something with that. What do you think? I told him, I said, man, absolutely, because those can be a next step after this first book and course we put together. So I made 4 different landing pages. We sold those as a bundle. We sold them individually. We made them upsells and downsells from each other to each other. We took content, again, that was sitting in the vault, that was already there, and by implementing the processes, he made back a big chunk of what he had invested in us. Assets that were just sitting there all of a sudden became income generating. Here's a 4th way to determine value is mistakes avoided. Determine the actual cost of the blunders they would make on their own without your system, without your training, without your coaching, without your presence. Let me give you a couple of examples. My friend Billy, he sunk $11,000 into a website that did absolutely nothing. He was about to launch a book, and while he was writing the book, they hired somebody to get the web page up. The guy really wasn't qualified to do the job. He overcharged them, not maliciously. It's just he was used to doing an app development type thing, and that's what he charged. That was a good price. But when it came time to developing a website, he really didn't know anything about sales pages, landing pages, blogs, podcasts, any of the stuff. I mean, he was a app guy. So 6 months, this thing just sits empty, idle there on the platform. In 2 weeks, and really less than that, we had them up and running. We had a business plan. We had sales coming in consistently. I had Billy go shoot a video course that was just kind of a screen share, kind of like what I'm doing with you right now. And we were able to monetize that to not only sell the book, but sell the course on the back of the book. He began generating revenue. And if he would have come to us at first, you think about the mistake that would have been avoided. He would have saved that $11,000 plus. Going back to the 3rd lane there, we were able to earn the income. So mistakes avoided, income earned, it all starts fitting together. Here's another example. There's a local ministry here that invested 2 years and over $120,000 in salaries for a team of their staff members to work almost exclusively full-time on a book that ended up being unpublishable. Now they tried to publish it. It had 1,000 typos. We stopped counting at 1,000. And they were furious when I pointed these out to them. Had 1,000 plus errors, including misreferenced Bible verses. Here's what we were able to do. Beth, my wife, she took it. She fixed the book in less than a month, removed the typos, made it work, put new graphics in it, made it actually look professional. We created a way for them to sell it online. A way for them to sell their other resources online. Their class course school enrollment doubled during that phase because all of a sudden now people had email processes and sales pages where they could learn about it, they could access it, they could easily find it and buy it, and the communication processes went smooth. Everything was then online. Now you look at the mistakes avoided issue. The total payment to our business was less than 20% of what they wasted. Wasn't an investment, it was a waste with no result. $120,000. You pay us less than 20% of that to work over, and that was a fair price. Like that was they paid us really well for what we did. That's not the point. The point is you could pay out 25 to 30,000 and get the book and more and escalate your enrollment as opposed to spending 120,000 on just a book that you could not use. So when we come to this, again, determining the value using 4 metrics, Time saved, money earned, mistakes avoided. It is both an art and a science. You kind of work at it, do the best you can, and that's going to take a little work. And I'll say this, you're probably not going to get it dialed in the right time. I have so many times sold a course on my website and thinking, man, I probably could have sold more if I would have set the price a little bit lower. Other times I thought, man, I probably could have sold more if I set the price higher, because I kind of devalued it by setting it lower. It didn't seem to be on par with what it was really worth. And so, you write it down, you live, you learn, you move forward, you look at the metrics, and you just get better at it, consistently moving forward while you're earn while you learn while you earn type of mentality.